I'm falling. In all the good times I find myself longing for change. And in the bad times I feel myself I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground. Crash through the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Morning Coffee with your host, Rick Alexander. That intro music was by Brittany Taylor, and she's at Brittany Taylor on Instagram. And I'm, of course, Rick Alexander, at Rick Alexander _, and at Lionheart Radio on Instagram. If you guys have feedback from this show, if you want to let me know that it resonated with you or you want to share it with other people, just if you want to interact at all, I think the old slippery DMs are the best way to do that. So yesterday I talked about just making a call, making a decision just to get you out of the terrible state of indecision, because that's where people get stuck. That's where progress can't be made. That's where we cannot grow. And it's truly just like it's a dying place for humanity in indecision. And so we have to figure out how to get through that. Well, at the end of the show, I talked about how you don't really have to have it all figured out. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I want you to know that you don't have to have it all figured out right now or ever. And to think that you ever could is a massive underestimation of the complexities that we live within. And I want you to think about that, because this life is so infinite and we are so finite, and our processing power is so finite, that to think that you would have all of the answers at any point is a trap. And we get stuck in that trap because we want to understand things. If you're cerebral, I kind of have a cerebral bent. I typically want to think through things as much as possible, and I want to examine them from different angles. But it is a trap to think that you will ever figure everything out and have all of the answers. And so sometimes we get stuck not making forward progress because we're too busy trying to figure things out that are unfigure-outable. That is probably not a word, but I'm not edited it out. And so that's just not a good enough reason to stop striving for progress. Because the truth is that constant evolution is the very thing that makes this life worth it. If we spent all of our time on the paved roads, we'd be bored as hell. And I know I say that on the show a bunch, but if you got your way all the time, you'd be bored. You don't actually know what you want. And so the more you try to figure it out, the more you're trying for something that deep down you wouldn't want if you actually got. Because it's the trailblazing and the obstacles and the discovery of a path that we didn't even know existed, which adds variety to our days and hope to our thoughts of what could be. And so you kind of got to break that down for a minute and think about that. So it's the path you didn't know was there. Like, have you ever done something spontaneous that turned into something incredible? Now, when you do something spontaneous, there's a chance it turns into garbage, right? There's a chance well, that didn't work out at all. And that's going to happen because that's life. There's roadblocks, there's obstacles. But every once in a while, you find the path you didn't even know was there. You meet the person you didn't even know existed. You meet the person you didn't even know that you needed in your life. You find the book you didn't even know that existed that you needed to read, and you didn't know you needed to read it. That's all of the things I'm talking about. Like, that's the variety. That's the fabric that makes this thing worth it. It's the endurance required to find the next path, which builds the fabric of our character. So let's think about that for a little bit. As we are trailblazing, as we are figuring this thing out in life, sometimes we hit dead ends. Sometimes we feel deep in our soul like it's time to pivot to a new path, and we hit a dead end again, or anyway. And in that time, the first feeling we always have is, I fucked up. I shouldn't have taken the path. I got to go back. I got to go back to the job. I got to go back to the girl. I got to go back to the guy, the relationship. Whatever it was that was keeping me safe, I don't know why I thought I should have left. But the truth is, when you go from one path to the next, when you're figuring it out, it requires endurance. Not physical endurance, but a mental capacity to continue striving for what you want amidst a path that doesn't seem like it's there. And that endurance builds character. And you need that character for what comes next. You need that character for all that your life has the possibility to be. The more character you forge, the more the world opens itself to you. And I want you to think about that very practically. If you don't have character, there's not much you're able to accomplish, right? But if you have resilience, if you're the person that stays positive even when things aren't looking so positive, if you're the person that can treat people with compassion even when they don't deserve it, more and more life is going to continue to open to you. You're essentially proving your worth to this thing we call life. So no, you don't have to have very much figured out. And yes, it's scary as hell to step into a future that we can't predict or even understand with any level of confidence. But I just hope that one day you'll grow to understand that it's your ability to take that step amidst all of the unknowns, which will shape the quality of your life. Not only that, but somewhere between where you are now and where those steps take you is where life hides all of its meaning. And until you find the courage to take that step anyway, to get where you're going, even if you don't know where that place is yet, that's where meaning is found. It's through the striving, it's through the evolution, it's through the compassion, it's through sharing your medicine and what's worked for you with the people around you that are going through this shared human experience with. You don't have to have it all figured out, but it's not a good enough reason to stop moving forward. So ask yourself, what in the back of your mind, what in your life are you not moving toward because you don't have enough answers yet? Maybe you aren't ready to pivot from your 9 to 5, but maybe you are. Maybe you don't need the answers. Maybe you just need a clear idea of something else that you want. Maybe you just know that you're no longer living in accordance with your values and where you're at. Maybe the relationship you're in isn't fostering your values and the things that you want for your life enough. I don't know your life, I don't know your situation, but I do know that it's really intimidating to make a pivot when you don't necessarily know where you're going to end up. But I will tell you that if you have that desire, if you have that need for forward progress in some area of your life and you ignore it, it's going to tear you apart. So do yourself a favor, do the future you a favor. Even if you're not confident, pretend that you are and take a step forward. Trust that the path will be there. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to continue to move. I love you guys. Talk to you later on Morning Coffee.
I heard you crying loud all the way across town. You've been searching for that someone that is beyond the crowd. As you sit around feeling sorry for yourself. Well, don't get lonely now. And try your white eyes. I'm just hoping for the moments leaving my back. Cause the time got so uptight. You've been thinking about ditching me. No time to search the world around. Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. When I come around. I heard it all before. Satan knocked on my door. I'm a loser and the user, so it's only no accuser to try and slack me down because I know you're right. So go do what you like. Make sure you do it wise. You may find out that yourself that means nothing was everything. You can't go forcing something if it's just not right. No time to search the world around.